All right, so Coach, how has the offseason been for ODU as you guys get ready for another season in the Sun Belt?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think I've been pleased with the approach our team has taken. I've been pleased with how our coaches have approached it. Um, I think our strength coach, Chad Snodgrass, does a great job preparing our guys, and so yeah, I've been really pleased with the off season, particularly the part where as coaches we go away for vacation and be with our families, and I think that's a time when the leadership really steps up, and I think the guys handled that well.
Thinking back this time last year, first year, going into your first year in the conference, I know you're familiar with some of the Virginia teams and like even Marshall. But what was that adjustment like for you? A new set of opponents, just new landscape of the conference. Do you feel more comfortable now in this second year with it?
I don't know if in today's day and age if you're ever going to get comfortable. There's always new coordinators at our level, which can change some scheme things. There's so many new players that it's not like you're like, okay, yeah, we've game planned against these guys now for 3 years, right? That's not really the way it is, or it's just a little bit different. So I think that's one thing that's is kind of fun and exciting about this conference is while you know maybe how the team wants to play based on the head coach, there's little tweaks and nuances that you got to be ready for that have changed from year to year.
Yeah, what about offensively? You got to incorporate a new quarterback. I know Javon's back, a leading receiver from last year. What about that unit? And have you made progress on quarterback, or are you trying to keep things open?
It's still be a quarterback competition.
Yeah.
At least through the first couple weeks of training camp, and then obviously we'd like to have something established. 2 weeks out of our first game and that sort of thing. So, it's going to maintain the competition. Feel good about how those guys have handled it. They've really been together and made it more of a unifying thing than a divisive thing. So I've been happy about that. But we'll see how it gets going. But offensively, with a new coordinator, will be a new quarterback and a number of new different pieces. It's going to be. Camp's going to be very important for us.
Yeah, Ethan Dwayne back at punter. He was preseason all-conference. Usually we don't talk about special teams at these type of events, but how big is that, having a player that can help you with your field positioning?
Well, special teams has always been a big thing for us. 2 years in a row where we've been at the top of the country in block kicks. So, it's something that we pride ourselves on, and Ethan's a big part of it. I think that he's been a weapon for us, to change field position, and it's something that I think, what people don't realize is 2 years ago he'd never punted in a football game before because he came from Australia and he'd never even put on pads before. So for him to be able to do what he's done in a short amount of time in American football has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, on the defensive side, you led the conference in red zone defense. What leads to a successful defense when the ball's inside of the 20? Is there something schematically that you guys work on? Is just the personnel? What led to that success?
I think our players did a good job of understanding on a weekly basis what the other team was trying to do to us in the red zone. Mm-hmm. And I think that allowed them to play faster, maybe make that decision just a hair earlier than maybe they would have at other times. Those are big possessions. If you can stop somebody and get them to kick a field goal, that can be a 3, 4, maybe even a 5-point swing if they decide to go for 2. So that's a huge thing. And then, we blocked a few field goals last year too. So now you're looking at a situation where, when you can take away points and not allow them to score at all, and in some situations like we did against Virginia Tech, actually score on the other side, that's a huge change in the game. And I think that's something that we want to continue to play well on. We want to improve our third down defense overall, but maintain that red zone defense that we did.
Yeah, we're going to touch on Virginia football in a moment, because you mentioned that even during the speech at the podium, just your place in that hierarchy. But what about Jason Henderson, led the nation in conference of tackles, among the top guys in the nation? How big of an asset is he to the defensive unit, just him being able to be a stopper for you?
Yeah, anybody who gets over 180 tackles, is pretty impressive. I think I think he was 6 tackles away from setting the all-time record for tackles in a season. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. So, obviously, being able to have him back gives really the whole unit confidence, knowing that he's going to knock things down when it gets past that first line of defense. It gives a secondary where they can really read their keys. They're not having to fly up so much to stop the run. They can really read their keys and then make sure they're catching the play-action pass and things like that. So it really gives everybody a lot of confidence, and having him back is a huge piece for us.
Yeah, man, you mentioned the Virginia Tech, got him last year. You get him again this year on your schedule. I think it's your opener, in fact.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. And what about the football in Virginia? Obviously, you have Virginia Tech and Virginia in the ACC, but you have yourselves, James Madison, some others as well, even some, HBCU programs in there. Just what is that like being in such a football-rich state, and you compete against them quite a bit? Liberty also.
Yeah.
Like you're in the middle of a really strong collegiate football area.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned it. I mean, honestly, I wish that we were able to play in Norfolk State or Hampton, this year as well. I mean, because I think that's important that those guys get included as well. It is. We compete against each other pretty hard. We all have the goal to keep all these players in state. Virginia is not always looked upon as one of the top tier states for football talent, but if you look at how many teams are in the state, and they supply a lot of football talent to all of us, and we've done pretty well traditionally. So I think it's one of those things where I love that we all play each other. I think that's an important part. That doesn't really happen in most other states.
How does that work? I mean, some being in the state of Georgia where we're based, some of the teams do not play each other, even the ones that are in the same city. Yeah. They do not play each other on the football field. Yet you've been able to get Virginia Tech in your schedule quite often, Liberty, and then obviously you get James Madison conference-wise, and even a Marshall, which is state across. How do you get those matchups? Is that just because other states do struggle with that? Yeah,
I mean, I think part of it, like you said, is just the realignment of the Sun Belt Conference and what a great job we've done there. Our athletic director and our president getting us in this conference is part of it. But the other part is, listen, we're in an area that people want to recruit. So people are willing to come down and play us because they think it might be able to help their recruiting. So we recognize that. Obviously, we don't want to do that. We want to win our fair share of those games. So I think that's been important. But I do think it speaks to the leadership in the state that we can and play those teams, and that those teams feel some pressure to play us, and I think that's an important part of it as well.
Yeah, and then lastly, just what will the team have to do well this year to get a winning record, compete for some of your goals, and get to where you really want to be this year?
I just think we have to be more consistent. We showed the ability to be explosive last year on offense. We showed the ability to play really well, like you said, in the red zone, and those sort of things. We just got to be more consistent. We can't have as many highs and lows. We've got to be way more consistent across the board because we're in a lot of one-score games, and that consistency that could have helped us win some of those games, and that record can change in a heartbeat. So I think that's the number one thing that we have to do better.